What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt, and today we're going to go into Canada's retail sales, which are slumping. So we got some reports in about consumer spending. We're going to look at that, and then we're also look at the chances of a cut this week. Are they high still? Are they lower now? Obviously, we want to talk about the significant trend we're seeing in the Canadian economy, how high interest rates are impacting consumer spending, very important information, and it's causing retail sales to slump. Recently, Canada's retail sales have taken a hit. We're seeing a decline, and it's primarily due to high interest rates. These rates are making it more expensive for consumers to borrow money, which in turn is slowing down their spending habits in other areas. To give you some context, retail sales dropped about 0.6% in May. This decline was actually worse than what many economists had predicted. They expected a smaller drop of around 0.3%. This shows that the impact of these high rates is definitely a little more severe than we initially thought. Different sectors are feeling the pinch differently. So, for example, sales at car dealerships and parts dealers fell by 1.6%, which is a pretty significant drop. Meanwhile, food and beverage sales saw a 0.7% decrease in sales. So it's clear that people are cutting back on both big ticket and everyday essentials. Now, what does this mean for the broader economy of Canada? With consumers spending less, businesses are likely to see reduced revenue. This could lead to slower economic growth and might even impact employment if businesses have to start cutting costs to cope with lower sales. They cut costs by bringing down payroll, which means firing people or laying off people, which then causes more of a cascading effect further on. If people start losing their jobs, then they can't pay for anything, right? And that's a whole other ballgame. High interest rates are really designed to curb inflation by reducing spending and borrowing. While it is necessary to keep inflation in check, it's actually a double-edged sword. On one hand, it helps stabilize prices. On the other hand, it puts pressure on consumers and businesses. So looking ahead, it's definitely crucial for both consumers and businesses to adapt to this new high interest rate environment. For consumers, it might mean just being more mindful about spending and finding different ways to save money. For businesses, it can mean innovating, finding new ways to attract and retain customers despite the rough economic times. What we're seeing in the retail sales side of the information that's coming out is definitely showing how high interest rates are impacting and reshaping the Canadian economy. So it's definitely a challenging time, but understanding what's going on can help us just navigate the trends that we're seeing. Based off this information, is it very clear that the Bank of Canada will cut rates this week? Let's dive into all the details and see what's going to happen. The Bank of Canada has been keeping a close eye on our economy, right? It's part of their mandate and their job, especially with the ongoing economic uncertainties. There have been talks about potential rate cut this week on July 24th in 2 days on Wednesday. First off, let's look at why a rate cut is being considered again. So inflation has been a major concern, but recent data suggests that inflationary pressures might be easing here. Okay, this could give the Bank of Canada some room to cut rates without really stoking high inflation again. But on the flip side, we have economic growth, which has been very sluggish, as we were talking about earlier. And there are signs of potential recession on the horizon. Lowering interest rates could stimulate economic activity by making borrowing cheaper for businesses and consumers. This could in turn boost spending and investment, right? If the Bank of Canada sees that people aren't spending money in the economy regularly, and then it's affecting businesses and revenues and incomes and all that kind of thing. Lowering interest rates can help stimulate that and put more juice back into the economy, make it cheaper to buy stuff, housing, any kind of product to then boost the economic activity again. The Bank of Canada also has to consider what's happening globally. Other central banks like the Federal Reserve in the US have also been adjusting their policies as their new economic information comes out. The Bank of Canada definitely has to align its strategy to ensure that the Canadian economy remains as competitive as possible. One key factor that might influence the decision is the housing market, right? We've seen some volatility in the market, and the rate cut could actually provide some relief to homeowners and potential buyers by lowering interest rates. This might actually help stabilize the market and encourage more activity. But again, this isn't an easy path to take. The Bank of Canada has to balance these benefits against the risks of cutting rates too quickly too soon. They need to ensure that the economy is stable enough to handle a rate cut without causing more harm than good. So will the Bank of Canada cut rates this week? I personally think they will. I think it'll be a 25 basis point cut based off all the information I've been following and all the inflation news that came out. Even with this recent kind of consumer spending, I do think they'll still cut by around 25 basis points. But again, there's always a chance they hold. I don't think they're going to raise, but I would place a fairly high chance that they're going to cut by 25 basis points on Wednesday. Now, obviously, with whatever happens, I will be talking about and reporting it on this channel. So please make sure you subscribe for that information. Also, it really helps me if you guys like the video, helps me push this kind of information into a new audience who might really benefit from the information. And I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or thoughts, please put them in the comments below. And until the next video, guys, take care.